Let's talk a bit about religion and how religion is normally, or not normally, but it tends to get accompanied by certain narratives, certain agendas. And maybe sometimes the religion is actually in all of them, in its purest form, in their purest forms. All of them are meant to serve a good purpose. All of them are meant to guide people to live better, to relate better with each other, and to uplift each other in serving a certain deity. But of course, just as a knife is very useful in a kitchen, it can be used to murder. So too is religion, have religions being used for dangerous and malicious, atrocious acts by human beings. Now, we've had religions for a very long time, and I mean like a very, very long time. They go as far back as early human beings. And this comes from an attempt to understand our purpose. Like, why are we here? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Who created all this? And we seem to have in our different geological demarcations, our different geographical locations that we have been in historically, we've then developed certain ideas that have culminated into certain religions to say, this is what has happened in the past, and this is where we come from. This is the trajectory that humankind has taken to get to this point, and that trajectory has been this way, and there's been these people, and they've experienced such spiritual things, and they've related to this deity, and that deity is the one that rules us, the one that has created us. Now, of course, because we come from different areas, we've created our own different stories, we've given our own different names, since of course we have our own different languages, we've given different names to these different deities. At the center of it all lies a reality that actually none of us actually truly know the reality of it. I actually am a believer that we aren't actually meant to know. We aren't actually designed to know. We are designed with certain intellectual limitations that we may not realize. Actually, we do know we have intellectual limitations. But these intellectual limitations are such that we are not able to understand that which exists beyond that realm, beyond the realm with which we live. And the realm with which we live is vast. Like, there's the whole universe. Again, the universe, maybe not again, but also the universe is also something that other people believe to be the deity. And some people believe that the deity itself is that which is within you, which we cannot actually exactly explain, but like, hey, it is within me. I am God. Everything is me. Everything is because I am, and so on and so on. I think I was going somewhere and then I digressed and I don't remember where I was going, where I was even. How sad. But it's just so sad that we have used religion in so many cases to segregate other people. We have used it to abuse other people. We have used it to deem other people inferior to ourselves. We have used it to deem other people unholy, unfit, unrighteous. And this is sort of like a lot of people going against what the whole point or what the whole purpose of religion was. The whole purpose of it was to unite people, to get people to live in a certain way so as to progress the existence of mankind. But then we have sort of corrupted it and used it, as we've done with many things. So many things in this life, so many things in this world, in their purest form, are beautiful. They're amazing. But we have taken them and tainted them and corrupted them and made them into what they are today. And in the religious space, I just like to share my ideas of it. When I was a kid, I was in church. I was raised a Christian. And I was in church this one week and it just felt like, I don't know, it's not make sure. And the following week, I swear I felt like that man was saying the opposite of what he had said the other time. And not that this opposite now actually is make sure. It's still an opposite that I'm like, what? No. Like, first of all, that is just not what you were saying last week. Secondly, none of that actually makes sense to me as a thinker. And I didn't even realize that I was a thinker at that point because I was like, am I the only one hearing this? Is no one else questioning this? Because I can hear people saying amen, nodding their heads, and I'm like, what the heck? Am I crazy? And I swear, this guy, stuff he was saying didn't make sense. I don't even remember what it was, but I know that was the time that I was like, I can't do this anymore. If I continue to do this, my faith is going to be diminished. My belief in a deity is going to die, because the logic with which this guy is operating is a logic that does not make sense to me, at least. And if I am to continue to be a believer, then I should rather stay away from this person, stay away from this place, probably stay away from these people, because all of them seem to be in cahoots. And I don't want to be a part of that. And I just decided, no, from now on, I'm just going to read my Bible, pray by myself, and so on and so on and so on. That was the beginning of a crazy journey that just led me into a lot of other things. But that's not what I'm trying to talk about here. What I'm trying to say is, you find a lot of Christians, priests, who become priests for personal gain. They do so just to enrich themselves. You find congregants who are so naive, it frustrates me, really. You find them, they hate on other people. They're jealous of other people. They're judgmental, super judgmental. The judgment just never ends from people who go to church. And they're hypocrites. They're the most hypocritical people I've ever seen. And this is quite bad for me to say, because a lot of my family actually is Christian, and a lot of people that I do know are Christian. But I have found that they're the most hypocritical of people that I've ever met. We come from poor communities. And just by logic, I didn't even go to read the Bible so much, so I don't even know what principles are being taught there. But just by logic, just off of logical sense, this is a place which doesn't get taxed, where we go there for a couple of hours every week, and we leave our money there. And there's a lot of these structures that exist, that are there, a lot of these congregations that exist, and a lot of people leave their money there as a tribute, as a contribution, as a thank you, an appreciation to a deity. But then these things are then used to either build a very massive, beautiful structure, which I don't think is necessary, but sharp, fine. Then maybe there's air conditioning in that. Again, I don't think it's necessary. Yes, where I come from, it's a very hot place. Air conditioning is very useful. But guys, we're there for 2 hours, okay? We're there for just a couple of hours. We're not going to be here for the whole time. Let's just be there and be out. Let's not make a big deal out of it. The most frustrating part of this for me, though, is when and I had an argument with a senior man. I had an argument with this guy, and he was so adamant. His argument was, and this is the part that frustrates me, that they strongly believe that we as congregants, and I'll use the term we here, we as congregants need to ensure that our pastor drives in a nice car, that our pastor dresses nicely, that our pastor lives in a big house. And I'm like, how? Why? Where does it say that? Like, how is that logical when we live in villages, when we live in townships, when we live in, maybe not suburbs, but when we live in places where we have poor people? Why are we going to be spending R1 million buying a pastor a car, when we can, if we have to, buy him a decent car for 300,000 Rand and then use the 700,000 Rand to help people in the community? When we are the congregation and we cannot step in when schools are getting dilapidated, when children in the schools are not behaving, when teachers in the schools are not behaving and they're sleeping with students, we are not even getting to be a part of that. We are not even taking action to say, this must stop. This is ungodly. This is against what the Bible is teaching. They are destroying our youth. I mean, it takes a village to raise a kid. But here's a village that has such strong beliefs, that's so strongly rooted in what they say is a deity. But they're not doing what I believe the deity has put us on this earth to do, which is to protect each other and to continue to preserve the sanctity of humankind. And they're not doing that. They're like, this priest, this one guy who, is charismatic and teaches us stuff, he's the one who we should be caring about. He's the one that connects us to the deity. and we're just going to walk past that poor lady who doesn't really have much. We're just going to walk past that house, that one bedroom house where this old granny stays with her little grandchildren because their mother is nowhere to be found. We're not even nowhere to be found. We're not even going to help that lady. We're just going to pass there dressed in whatever we're dressed in, or we're just going to drive past there. We're not even going to care about that person because, hey, I'm giving my money to my pastor because my pastor is the one that's going to get me closer to God. Anyway, another atrocious thing which frustrates me is when you have these, and in this particular case, I just spoke about Christian practices because these are the practices with which I'm familiar. I'm not familiar with practices of other religions in that sense. But in this case, which is next, I've seen I've gotten some information about certain religions, what they do, and I'm getting to find that this is actually something that is prevalent throughout the world, that people are using the word of their deity, the power of their holy book, to take advantage of the vulnerable people within their communities. And the second one is something that frustrates me so much. I've heard so much about it in regards to some, I think it's the Roman Catholic Church. I've recently heard about it with what do they call them? I think it's in the Muslim community. I just forgot what they're called, but certain healers apparently, healers, I heard about these healers in Sudan who are taking advantage of the women. So a woman is going to come to a healer and say, hey, I have a problem at home. I have a problem with this. Maybe my child is sick, whatever. And they're going to get sexually assaulted. You have this with priests who are getting women to suck on their private parts so as to suck in some holy juice that is going to heal their problems, that is going to solve their problems and heal their pain and whatever. And you get these things happening all over. People are molesting young boys, and they're there standing in front of us every day or every Sunday or whenever it is that people congregate, and they're telling us, you need to be a good person, you need to be a good human being, you need to take care of the kids, you need to pray to a deity, you need to do this and this and this, while they are there abusing that and abusing people and putting women through trauma, putting kids through trauma, destroying the fabric of society. There's nuns in, where is this? Again, I forget where this was. Nuns have been reporting for years, for the past few decades, that they've actually been living under the molestation, under the command of is it a priest or whatever it is that they call it. And then nuns, we out here believing, hey, nuns are, they've never had any sexual activities, they've never done this and that and that. But actually, the priests are busy having their way with these women. The priests are actually busy doing what they want with these women. And these are the frustrating things that people are using deity or religion for. And these are things that frustrate me. And a lot of people then use deity to segregate people. They use deity to discredit people. They use deity to, the word I'm looking for just keeps running away, to guilt people into doing things or into not doing things or into not even living their lives. And these are people who themselves never actually look at the mirror and say, what am I actually doing? Does this actually make sense? Let me just break it down really. I understand this is what the pastor said in church, or this is what the bishop said, wherever. But does this actually make sense? Does it actually make sense that we should be spending so much money to enrich one person's life? When I go around and I look around, there's so many people who are suffering. I'm scared to leave my door open because there's a lot of crime taking place. What is that person doing to help all this? I've been giving to this pastor, to this church for the past 20 years of my life. What have I gained from it? How have I grown as a human being? How have we grown as a community? How have we grown in the eyes of the Lord? How have we done that? And then introspect. Does this actually work for us? Is this actually working for us? Is this actually working for us as a community? Is this working for me alone? Is this working for my household? These are the questions that I believe that people should be asking themselves, but they're not asking. And it's funny for me because I'm a person who asks myself these questions. Maybe not these questions exactly as I'm asking them now, but I question things. And I was a teenager. I don't even remember how old I was, but I was like, no, I'm not going to church just because I'm rebellious. But I'm not going to church because I don't get it. I don't understand what they're saying. And in fact, by my understanding of what they're saying, we should not be going there. What they're telling me tells me that all this is cuckoo crap. It's just bull. And I don't want to be told that this is bull because I'd like to continue to believe that was the case at that stage. But it is what it is. However, through time, through questioning, through conversations, through some research, slight research, I'm a generalist, so I don't really go deep into specific research, and it's probably a bit of a flaw that I have. But like, hey, if you want to know more about certain things, just go and do the research yourself. I am generally fine with just having a somewhat basic understanding of subjects of topics, so that I'm able to engage in conversation and not necessarily have it be a deep, detailed conversation that's going to break down the deep technical details of anything. However, I've gotten to sit down and eventually I came up to this conclusion, that you can be born in any part of the world and you're going to be raised in that particular religion. And the question I've had for a long time was, how do you know which one is the correct one? I mean, I'm raised in a Christian family. I'm made to believe that this is the correct deity to pray to. If you're born in India, you're raised to believe that particular deity is the one that you should believe in and the one that you should pray to. If you're born in any different part of the world, whatever religion is in your community, in your family, that's the one that you're going to grow into. And the deity to which they pray is the deity to which you're going to be raised to pray. And to me, it was like, how does this all work? How does the deity then decide, the actual deity, how do they then decide that these ones are my children, these ones are lost, these ones blah, blah, blah? Because like, I didn't decide this. I'm not really given a whole host of them from which I should choose. I'm just raised and my parents say, this is where we're going, this is how we do things. And it makes sense. To a lot of people it does. Maybe not to someone critical as I am, but to a lot of people it makes sense. And people listen to these stories and they believe in them and they devote their entire lives to them. So this then led me to the question, how many gods are there? Is there even one? Because one argument could be that there isn't one and that things just came up from nowhere. And like science seems to sort of dictate that, even though there is division even within the science community, that at the end of the day, there must be some creator. Some just say just start with the Big Bang, and there's all these assumptions, hypotheses. What I've then come up to is that I believe that the deity is one. We just relate to that deity in many different ways, since we come from different geographical locations with different demographics, with different languages, and we've developed our own different stories from these different places. And we now find ourselves in a small global community, which is big, but it's just that it's interconnected now by the internet and by rapid transport, that we now have to interact and we now have to compare and contrast these different deities and different religions. But I think at the base of it, it is all a mission to try and understand our purpose. It is all a mission to try and understand our origins. It is all a mission to try and build community, to try and build relation, so that we can grow as a community together. What this has then culminated to in my mind is that either there is no deity, there is a deity on which we all believe in different ways, but we all believe that there's a deity. If you say God, Allah, Jesus, Muhammad, the universe, within, the spirits, the ancestors, whatever. At some point, I think all of them come into becoming one thing that we just relate to in different ways. And unless you're an atheist or an antichrist who actually says, I am against any form of deity, I'm actually not praying to any deity at all, unless you're that, you fall into that group. I believe that every other group falls into the same group, where we're saying there must be something, but you just don't know what it is. Some believe it's God, some believe it's whatever, or different names for it. But the truth, the actual fact is that we simply don't know what it is. We believe it's there, we don't know what it is. But my conclusion, which has liberated me from all of this, is that we're not designed to understand it. We're not designed to comprehend the workings of that realm. Within our realm, within our space, we are meant to believe that there's a beginning and there's an end. That is how life is for us. That is how our journeys go. Something is born, something is planted, something is created, something is started. That is the beginning of it. Then something dies, something is murdered, something is chopped down, something is stopped, something is ended. There's an ending, there's a beginning and an end. Beyond that, we do not have an understanding of it. If you look at some of the things that people are studying when it comes to the multiverse, when it comes to quantum entanglement, when it comes to timelines, different timelines, you start to realize that there are actually things that even I, with all my intellect, cannot understand, but there are people in this planet that can understand those concepts. So then I take it a step further, that if there are concepts that they can understand that 100 years ago other people could not understand, there must be a certain level, certain concepts that none of us can understand. And I believe that is the concepts, the realities in which deity operates. And we simply aren't designed to have that understanding. We simply aren't designed to resonate with that wavelength of understanding. And there's the realm within which we live. And if there is a plea that I can have with people out there, is that we're all human beings. Whatever it is, we come from one. We come from the same place. We're probably going to the same place at the end of all of this. While we're here, while we're living, while we have advantages over others, while we have certain capabilities that others do not have, let us use it to assist and help each other. Let us use it to grow each other. Let us use it to create a better world, not just for ourselves, but for everyone around us as well. And that, I believe, was the whole point of religion. It has gotten so corrupted right now. But let us try and come back to the pure essence of it. And as much as you may not necessarily agree with the particular technical details of another religion, understand that another human being is a human being, and that mutual respect should exist, and that we should all come together and work to try and make this place better for all of us right here on earth. Because you can see each other, we can touch each other, we can smell each other. These are the people that should matter. These are the people that do matter. These are the people that we should be living for. Thank you so much for tuning in.